Okay, welcome to the live stream, and I'm not going to waste any time and make this thing international. Hello, Drew Remenda from your home in Saskatchewan, Canada. It's good to see you, buddy.
It's good to see you, my friend. It's been too long.
Yeah.
How's everything in the Bay Area?
Things are okay. Two baseball seasons here that are subpar for different reasons. So we're like already looking forward to hockey. That's kind of why I wanted to have you on. Like, help me get to October, basically.
Okay.
But by the way, I kind of want to start, I guess, on a somber note for you. Sharks had a GM opening. They didn't ask you. Sharks had a head coaching opening. They didn't ask you. Sharks had some assistant openings. They didn't ask you.
Yeah. I think they're making all the right moves by not making a move in this direction. It was funny. I talked to Mike Sullivan today, Pittsburgh Penguins head coach, original San Jose Shark guy.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation. He was on the radio show that I do here, and we were just talking about coaching, and we kind of harkened back to the old days. And I had Rob Zettler on last week. We talked about the old days, and I'm amazed that any of those guys still speak to me after what we went through.
And I think you bond over those really, really bad seasons.
You really do. But it's, I look at what the Sharks have done, and I kind of harken back to 93, 94, as far as, if you're brave enough to say goodbye, life gives you new hellos. And the Sharks have a lot of new hellos. And it's an exciting time. Back then, it was a new coaching staff. I was the holdover, same general manager, but brand new players pretty much from top to bottom. And it was exciting. It was in the brand new building. It was a new step for the franchise.
Sure.
And this is a new step for the franchise. And it is exciting. It is appealing. It gives you that sense of the unknown, but at the same time, some positive vibes. I'm of course not taking anything from Doug or anything like that. Doug did such a great job. Doug Wilson, of course, such a great job with the Sharks, but it's a change. It's a change that, had to be done because of Doug's health. Yeah. And I like what they've done. I'm excited that this could be the new, well, not this is the new step in a direction of the new San Jose Sharks. I'm excited about what's going to happen here.
They were very protective of the words. What do we call what they're doing? Is it rebuilding? No. Is it restructuring? I don't know. It's like a something word, retooling, rekindling, like whatever. Yeah. Are they rebuilding now? I mean, it's not just Doug. It's not just a new head coach. But think about the trade of Brent Burns. And Mike Grier has not been holding anything back in putting his early stamp on things. So I don't know if they're shying away from the terminology, but they are doing something. And if it's not rebuilding, we're going to find out what it is pretty soon here, once the season gets underway.
Well, it's definitely a reset, if you want to use that. It's a redevelopment, whatever you want to call it, is whatever it is. But it's out there that 3 years, 3 seasons without a playoff spot, you would have been really disappointed. We all would have if they didn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
And so Mike comes in, he makes the move with Brent Burns, which Brent was the most valuable tool in the shed, right?
Right.
And he gets rid of some cap money, gets rid of some money, keeps a little bit, but it allows him to make other moves. And what I think when you look at the moves that he's made, and I'm just kind of looking over at the lines right now, Cunnin, Lindblom, Lorentz, Nico Sturm, they've done a good job in restocking the shelves with NHL players.
Right.
Low risk as far as money and term goes, but also low risk as far as the type of player you're getting.
Known commodities.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're getting bona fide NHLers.
Yeah.
Matty Benning, Marcus Nudavara. Yeah, there's some question marks there.
Right.
But at the same time, they are guys who have played in the league. Some are coming back off of injuries. Some are coming back off of subpar season. Some are coming back and trying to make their name.
Right.
But you've got bona fide NHLers instead of just the young kids.
Yeah.
So I think what Mike has done is he's put some knowns in the unknown.
Yeah. Trying to solidify things from the start.
Yeah, exactly.
Did we get spoiled, Drew? And I mean I'm talking about broadcasters, fans, all of us surrounding the San Jose Sharks over the years. You know, I think about the decades of the 2010s. Like, they would literally drop the puck on opening night, and you were already like, oh, who are we going to play round one? You know,
exactly.
Kings, Ducks, Canucks, whoever. And you know, some people would argue that, well, if you never won a cup in all those years, how did you really get spoiled? Like, Chicago got spoiled, and the Kings fans got spoiled, and maybe the Sharks didn't taste the ultimate glory, but I feel like just overall winning year after year, and now we're here in this position, and we're like, haven't made the playoffs in 3 years. Well, yeah, like a lot of pro sports teams don't make the playoffs 3 straight years.
When I was in Edmonton, and I try to forget those days as best I can.
Here we go.
So we would have often discussions on the bus, on the media bus, on the media scumbag diva bus,
where they can't, where the players can't hear you.
Right, exactly. And the Edmonton Oilers, when I had got there, they hadn't made the playoffs in like 10 years, and they continued not to make the playoffs except when the 1 year Todd got there.
Right.
I was having an argument with a certain radio broadcaster one day on the bus, and he said something about the San Jose Sharks never winning the Stanley Cup.
Uh-huh.
And you know how I've changed. The new Drew, you know, is a little bit more
a
his
grandpa.
temperament's better.
Yeah, a little bit grandpa's toned down. Yeah,
exactly. I've toned it down a little bit. I wasn't the new Drew yet, and of course, my affinity for the San Jose Sharks has never died, nor for the people that work in the organization or play in the organization.
Noted.
So I might have went off a little bit, but then I asked the question. I calmed down for a second and I asked the question. I said, let me ask you a question. Would you rather win the Stanley Cup one time and not make the playoffs for another 15, 20 years, or always be in the hunt?
Yeah.
And even that individual who I was arguing with went, I'd want to be in the hunt.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we were spoiled by a long shot because it was 40 plus wins, 50 plus wins. It was superstars. It was Danny Boyle. It was Joe Thornton, Patty Marleau, Joe Pavelski at their prime.
Danny effing Heatley. Come on.
Danny effing Heatley. Exactly. It was Brent Burns as a young guy. I love that. But your interview with Danny Heatley at the end of that game was
interviews with Danny, your 20 questions with Danny Heatley went viral in different ways. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But so we were darn right we were spoiled. And maybe we all got spoiled within an organization. You think it's going to last, but it didn't. And now you're at 3 years, or we're at 3 years, I should say. And you're looking for, okay, what's the remedy? So the remedy was, as Doug had to step down because of health reasons, well, here's your opportunity to open the door to a new San Jose Sharks. Yeah.
Does it sound bad though that we're at 3 years and we're frustrated? Because the point is, right? I'm saying when we look at the mirror, we deserve to be frustrated because we're not used to this. But at the same point, most sports fans, like I think what you're agreeing with, most sports fans are like, yeah, this things like this happen. If you're around long enough, this is going to happen. So,
well, think about the Bay Area sports scene.
Well, right now, in the last 15 years alone,
yeah. But go back before that.
49ers
at their heyday. Raiders were good. Giants, A's were once they played in the World Series against each other, for crying out loud.
What year was that? Quick trivia, come on.
07?
89.
Damn it, really? Am I that old?
Giants and A's, Bash Brothers, and Giants swept A's swept the Giants, and there was also the earthquake, Game 3 of that series before Candlestick Park.
Terrible thing there was, but the Bay Area sports scene was gigantic.
Well, and right now, Steph Curry, you got Clay, you got Draymond, you got Trey Lance stepping in front of Jimmy G. I mean, you got so many things for people to pay attention to, right?
So is for the Sharks, you can't rush it because there's no rushing it anymore in the NHL.
Right.
But you got to get better as quickly as you can because you've got such a competition for your sports entertainment in the Bay Area.
That's a good point.
So we've been spoiled, but it's been, it's been a good spoiled.
Yeah.
It's been fun. There's so many great memories. I wasn't around for the Vegas win, but I remember watching it on TV and just hearing it, being really jealous that I wasn't there. There's so many great moments with San Jose Sharks and we should be eager to get back there.
Yeah.
We should be excited to get back there. We should be thinking, you know what? It started in 93, 94 when the Sharks moved to San Jose.
Right.
And it built for a long, long, long time and sustained for a long time. Now you got to get back to where it was before. And it's part of pro sports, the ups and downs. How long can you stay at the top and how long can you maintain that? And it's like momentum, like John Tortorella once said. The secret of hockey is gaining momentum as quickly as you can, keeping it for as long as you can, and getting it back as quickly as you can when you lose it. Sharks got to try to get that momentum back.
I miss being spoiled, and I miss the tank being crazy. Those were the days.
Yeah.
I've been around a while, as you know, and I think the first year I started covering the team was the year after Mike Grier was a San Jose Shark. Now, what's crazy about this is you have been around since the last GM was a Shark, and now you're around when the new GM is a Shark. So I don't have, I wish I had the history with Griersy, right? Like I never got to do the interviews with him. I never got to really, really know him. I mean, I just know him through other people, but I think the one icebreaker I want to tell him right off the bat is, hey, we have something in common. He'll say, what are you talking about? And I'll say, well, you had to carry Curtis Brown as a teammate back in the day, and now I have to carry Curtis Brown as a teammate in my job. So we both have that to fall back on.
He'll have a lot of sympathy for you in that regard, won't he?
What? Yeah, probably. What's the memories that, we could talk about what he's going to do as a GM, but did you see him as that type of person, as a player when you were broadcasting during those eras? And what stood out about him back then?
First off, I once cursed his name because I used to be able to work out in the Sharks dressing room, and he had this workout right beside the treadmill. And it was a running workout with inclines and things like that. Then an ab workout.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it once.
And that because you couldn't anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was exhausting.
Yeah.
And I remember doing one set of ab work, and I'm sure I cursed his name several times during that. Not sure why I ever did that, but
so a physical specimen. Let's establish that as a player.
Always in phenomenal condition. Always a true professional. I always thought he was going to be a coach.
Okay.
I always thought he was because of his mental acuity when it came to the game. He had a high hockey IQ. He always was in control. He had a fire.
Like as a player or as a person, you're saying?
As both.
Okay.
Both. He was always in control of his emotions.
Yeah.
I look at a guy like Mike Grier, and I'm not sure where I stole this saying from, but there's a difference from playing with emotion or being emotional.
Okay.
Because emotional means you're out of control.
Right.
Means your emotions have control of you.
Right.
Mike Grier played with emotion. He played with fire, but he was always in control. Mike was, you could tell he's one of the leaders in the dressing room. You could tell the guys looked up to him. And I always thought his because of his hockey IQ and his fire for the game, I thought for sure he was going to be a coach. And he did. He coached in Jersey there. But it shouldn't be surprising to anybody knowing his family background.
Yeah.
Of his dad and his brother in the NFL and their management history with New England and Miami.
Yeah.
Yep. That you look and go, well, that shouldn't be a surprise.
Right.
He's learned from his brother and his dad. He's also a guy that I think when this opportunity presented itself, people saying, is he ready? Is he ready? Well, is anybody ready to be a GM if you haven't been a GM before?
Right.
But I like the fact that it was a guy new to the job. And the reason I like that is because when we hear about other hirings of a GM or a coach, we say the same thing. Oh, they're recycling guys again.
Right.
We get any fresh ideas?
Right.
We get a new guy in here?
Right.
I think you had to have a guy come in who had a tie to the Sharks, but not so close that it made him biased regarding some of the tough decisions he made already, and he's going to have to make as the future rolls forward.
It's a great point. And the other thing is people talk about that new blood, but I think the task at hand, right? Like you could talk about him and his objectives and who he is, but what he's facing right now would be a tall task for a lot of different people. And it's not just the not making the playoffs 3 years in a row. It's It's really the roster. And already the tough decision of trading Brent Burns. Like that's, you know, when that thought comes to mind, when those conversations happen, that's not the easiest thing to go out on a limb and do, but he did it. I just think that it's hard. It's going to be hard to really put anybody in this situation, let alone somebody who hasn't done it before.
Yeah, it's not like when Doug took over from Dean Lombardi and it was a job, it was like, ooh, this is a coveted job. I mean, this is something, you know, there was a lot. Greg Jameson, who was president at the time, interviewed a lot of people around the league. And he kept coming back to Doug. And, you know, Doug's record pretty much proves it was for good reason.
Yeah.
Dean had left Doug a good blueprint.
Right.
But then Doug took it to a new level.
Right.
Now, with Mike, it's not a blank slate, of course, but it's a little murkier water than Doug had to wade into.
Right. There's some big blocks here in terms of pieces.
You know, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You know, you got long contracts on some aging guys.
Right.
You've got a lack of a top 6 group where you can get, yep, that's our top 6.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. You know, I'm looking at Boston signing today when they signed Krejci and they signed Bergeron, they signed Zacha. You look at their top 6 and you go, yeah, that's a top 6.
That's who they are. Yep.
That's who they are, without a doubt. This one is a little bit more. There'll be some fluctuation there for David Quinn. He's going to move guys in and out. So it was not a job where you thought, oh, I'm coming in and then within a year we're winning the Stanley Cup.
Right.
You know, Mike knew he was going to have to put some work in, but I like the groundwork so far, and he did it too with new people in charge as well, new hockey operations people.
Right.
And I think, again, that's something that needed to happen.
It's another thing we didn't talk about was the restructuring internally of the hockey operations side. One last thought on Greer. I mean, people will say, okay, he's going to turn this around. What's the time frame? I'm honestly, first off, it's not year one. Based on, you know, what was handed to him, it's probably not even 2 years. It's probably maybe after 3 years, are you where you want to be? And that's, you know, but competitive, advancing in playoff rounds and making a case for yourself. So I don't know. I'm not asking you to put years on it, but I'm saying, like, it's not this season that they instantly, like, are a Cinderella story.
Yeah, never say never.
I'll keep this video, but if it is, by the way, I'll replay that. I'll say, look how stupid I looked.
No. Well, you know, obviously I lead the category there in that department. But Kevin Constantine did it because he got guys to buy in. Now, he had some really special players there, but that special group turned into something that they got it. They grasped the concept. They all had something to prove. And once they got the ball to the boulder to the top of the mountain, it started rolling down. Now, this is a very different group, and the NHL is very different. If you look at, say, one of the teams I really like that we didn't look at in the last couple of years, 2 teams, Ottawa Senators, Detroit Red Wings. Yeah. Okay? 2 really fun teams now to keep your eye on.
Right.
But it's been a process.
Yep.
Steve Yzerman doing what he has had to do in building that group back up again. And Pierre Dorian in Ottawa, you can tell they're thinking, okay, now's our time. Right. But it took, like you said, it took about 3 years. They had to draft well.
Yeah.
They made the trade with Carlson. That really turned out to be beneficial for them because they got Stützle out of that and a couple other guys. They've turned those picks into top players. And now they go get Giroux. Then they go get Cam Talbot first. And they're a team that they think now this is their next step available. Yeah. So with the Sharks, what I want to see, Brody, when I'm looking at this team, like where are they going to be, is in March, let's be playing meaningful games.
There you go. Okay.
You know, let's see a consistency of growth and evolution in these players. Let's see some of those young guys that are going to be surrounded now by, as you talked about, solid NHL proven guys. Let's see them take another step, like Noah Gregor. We thought Noah, you and I talked about it many times on Sharks pre and post, is that Noah had a growth there. Right. Let's see Nudavara come back from injury. Let's see Lindblom be able to become a really solid 2-way player like we thought he was going to be in Philadelphia before cancer. Right. There's a lot to talk about with the Sharks that right now you're kind of in hope mode. Right. Best picture, best positive outcome mode. But if David Quinn can build with these guys and get them to continue to improve and continue to add to consistency to their game, maybe you can play some meaningful games in March and April.
What is the scouting report on David Quinn? I'm not going to even pretend to know much more than his bio and the nice things people say about him. I like the fact that he knows how to coach up young players.
That's exactly it. He knows how to coach up young guys. He was in a very, very tough situation at the end in New York. Whenever coach gets fired,
right.
There was a push on him to make their development, their redevelopment go quicker.
Right.
And when Jeff Gorton and John Davidson were let go, they put the fast track there. They had some nice pieces, but David Quinn was a guy who worked well with young guys, has worked well throughout his career with young guys. From what I'm told, is very, very close to the players. He shows that he believes in the players. He supports the players, knows they've got his back. Some say in New York, he's got to back off a little bit from that, let the guys grow a little bit on their own. Sometimes it can't always be about the guy behind the bench, but David is, I think, the guy right now that if you're looking for a calm demeanor behind the bench, if you're looking for a guy who's invested long-term, if you're looking for a guy who can work with players and get a coaching staff that can work with players as well and help them become individually better, he's the guy for the job. Larry Brooks. Did you see what Larry Brooks wrote about him?
No.
Larry Brooks.
I can only imagine, though.
New York Post.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing.
You mean Dan Boyle's close personal friend, right, Larry
exactly.
Brooks?
And John Tortorella's too, exactly. Larry Brooks said one of, if not the nicest man he's ever met in this business.
Wow. Well, and
yeah,
I was going to say the presentation during his press conference alone is enough to make you realize he knows how to address a group of people. He knows how to present. And I think as much as you could have all the right X's and O's and the tactical and strategical answers to being a head coach and with your coaching staff, sometimes it's the presentation to the players that wins them over or that goes that extra mile. Anyway, he acts and looks the part. And that's just me saying that at the surface level. I do think there is something to that.
I agree. I agree 100%. I like the connection to the U.S. colleges that he has.
Yeah.
I think that's important when you look at U.S. college and helping grow players. That's, to me, one of the best places to go, if not the best. I know it's coming from a Western Canadian where you don't think it's blasphemy, but I had a guy at the gym ask me the other day. He was talking to his trainer.
You're at the gym? No.
Yes, shocker.
Wow.
But plus, I never let up an opportunity to say I was at the gym. So,
which time? First or second time of the day? Which
just was the first time of the day. So there's a guy talking to his trainer about hockey and about where can I get a stick bag and where was blah blah blah, because my son's going to BU for a camp and so the trainer says ask him right there. And this guy's a doctor. His wife's a doctor, and the kid's a pretty good player, about 15 years old. He's going for a camp of some sort at Boston University. And he said, if you had the opportunity with your sons, would you send them to the WHL? Because my son's got a chance to go to the WHL or college. I went, college. And they looked at me, and pardon me, I said college, like that. Because you grow as a person, you grow as a player, because you've got more time to develop both the skills as a person and the skills as a player. So I like that for David Quinn. I also look at David Quinn and I think to myself, I agree, the presentation with David is important. His presentation is another guy like Mike, in control, calm, relaxed. No, he gets fired up behind the bench, but he doesn't.
Right.
But I like the way that David comes across. And I think that will be beneficial. Plus, you have to have guys now, Brody, as we know, guys who are willing to, as a general manager, invest in this coach for a long time.
Right.
Because you look at good teams, best team in the NHL, Jared Bednar, right? He was coaching, and their first year, I think they won 22 games. Right. Something like that. John Cooper, when he came in, he's been there 10 years. Okay. They weren't very good, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they won, I can't remember what it was, but I think it was around the 20 number mark too when he took over. and you look at the coaches that have been with the teams their longest, those are the teams that are successful.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think some people will look at the Sharks' whole process of, and obviously a lot of it was predicated on Doug's health, but the timing of hiring a new GM, and then some people were surprised that Bob Boughner and his coaching staff were dismissed. Like, wait, this is pretty late in the game, but I don't think the Sharks panicked. They knew there were options out there and coaching commodities out there.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, again, for the situation at hand, I think what you said before is Quinn and company fit the role that the Sharks need most right now. Coach young players, somebody, and you know what else too is, and I forget who exactly the first person I heard say this was, but your second time around as an NHL coach, how many things do you think he either lost sleep over and said, if I get this next chance, I will do this differently. Here's how I will improve. And that's why there's all these references to David Quinn's time in New York and this and that. And I'm almost like, okay, I'll listen to about 5 seconds of that. But what matters most is how he bounces back from that, good or bad. Like, what do you take and what's the next step for you? So
yeah, you're a better coach the day you got fired than the day they hired you.
Right. Well, you would know that.
Yeah, I think I'm a great
better
coach.
Broadcaster, better everything.
I'm an outstanding coach right now. I may be the best coach I know right now because I get to sit back from 1,000 feet up and go, oh. But honestly, when I went from San Jose to Kansas City with Vasily Tikhonov, the late great Vasily Tikhonov, I was a much better coach when they let me go.
Yeah.
I was smarter. I learned how to deal with players better. I wasn't as in awe with the players as I was, when I first started.
Sure.
You become more seasoned, more experienced, and you can only get experience through putting the work in and putting the grind in.
You are a Canadian. No question about that. But you've spent enough time in the Bay Area. You are also very much part of the San Jose Sharks. And because of that, you understand our scenery here. You understand San Jose. Tech CU Arena is going to open up this hockey season. And I don't think enough people yet realize how big that's going to be for hockey here in our market. And it's not just because the Barracuda get their own building to play in and probably can draw more fans and can create a real intimate, environment there. But the amount of youth tournaments, college hockey, high school hockey, and it's the perfect size venue. Let's be honest. You have two Bay Area college hockey teams playing a game at the Tank, and it's like, okay, this is cavernous and weird. It doesn't have the vibe. No. To have a venue that's right down the street and that's part of the overall bigger complex. What I'm saying is I don't think people have realized yet what a hit this is going to be and how important that sheet of ice alone is going to be to our region.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Let me go back for a second, though. You said I'm Canadian. So I got this radio show.
It's bothering you, huh?
Yeah, it does. I'm co-hosting this radio show here in Saskatchewan. And we talk about the Canadian Football League, the 3-down game, every stinking day. The big thing was about Canadian Football League is I don't like it very much, but I talk about the NFL game a lot. I talk about college football a lot. And so when we were having these arguments about Canadian football in the off season, I had all these suggestions like go to a 4-down game, do this, do that. And some guy phoned in and thought he had me. He goes, you know what, Remenda, you spent so much time in America. You're more American than you are Canadian. And I went, yeah, you're right. I am.
You got disowned by your own people.
Yeah, that's okay.
You almost got deported out of Canada, and we're not sure we want to take you, but okay.
No, well, I tell you, I'd be a man without a country, like the Oglethorpe and Slapshot. So, when we first got to the Bay Area back in 1991-92, there was no ice rinks that I remembered in San Jose. We were up, of course, in the Cow Palace in Daly City. And
what's that smell? That's the cows.
That's the cows.
I know.
And then we practiced many times at the Golden Gate Ice Rink in Redwood City. I think it was called the Golden Gate Ice Rink.
Yeah.
Those were the only two rinks I knew about. There was one in Oakland where we did a hockey school back in 93, 94. But one of the things that I'm really proud about about working for the San Jose Sharks and being a Sharks employee and coach and then broadcaster is they took not just a passing interest in growing the game, but they went neck deep in, we're going to grow this game. And if you talk to the people that are at Sharks, what was it now called?
Solar
Sharks.
for America Ice.
Solar for, yeah. So if you talk to them, they will tell you, they've been there a long time. They will tell you about the participation level of kids hockey, of women's hockey, of high school hockey, of adult hockey. And the fact that they keep adding ice surfaces to that facility. And now this beautiful one that the Barracuda are lucky enough to play in. You can see where that's going to grow the game into maybe NCAA tournaments coming in.
Yep.
State hockey championships, maybe national hockey championships. You can see where they've grown the game, not just in San Jose, but in the Bay Area, because now we have more people interested in what we both believe is a great game, one of the greatest in the world.
Yeah.
And I've always been really proud about the Sharks to that. And if you look at the other organizations that are in non-traditional hockey markets, Los Angeles Kings with the Junior Kings, the Ducks, the Dallas Stars, Florida, Tampa, they have grown their game and taken that lesson from the San Jose Sharks. Because we started doing it first. You know, we did the hockey schools. We did the break the ice. We brought in corporations, and it said, here, we're gonna have you come out, skate, take some shots, you know, at Golden Gate Ice Center or whatever it was
Feel
called.
what this is like, because that's really the only way you can appreciate it when you go watch it.
Certainly is. Yeah. And we you know, we unfortunately ended up calling it Break Your Face, because a lot of people thought, no, this is a boom, bang, and then be some problems. We had to bring the medic out. But we did Sharks University. We did all kinds of things that helped grow the game. And I'm really proud of the Sharks in that. Yeah. And that's why we've got to, you know, continue to have Sharks fans.
Yeah. This next topic is going to be very weird for you and I to bring up and discuss, because it involves a friend. Tom Holy is back with the Sharks. Now, some people will sit here and say, guys, this is too deep. What are you talking about? Tom Holy, longtime media relations person with the team, and then made the jump to the Dallas Stars. It was 2013 or 14. He's like the #1 communications guy with Dallas, so a huge promotion. And I remember Tom always telling me, and we can get into who he is in a second, but he always told me, you know, I want to really get into the hockey side and the operations side of this business. And so I heard he was getting a new job. I texted him like, Tommy, congratulations. What's the new role? Assistant general manager. He's coming back to the San Jose Sharks. And a player who was, I hate to say it, instrumental in having Joe Pavelski go to Dallas, because Tom was in Dallas and said, Pavs, I'll sell you on this. Look at this team. And so beloved by the players, beloved by us, one of the most likable people around. And I'm just got to say, from a personal level, I'm super excited for somebody who understands this organization. Certainly Mike Greer was likely very much part of bringing him in, because Greersy understood, like Tom was around in those days too. It's just great to have people like that come back to your organization in a great situation, in a big job promotion. And I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how he can help out this project.
Well, again, another reason that it's great being with the Sharks again was because of good people. Yeah. We've got good people in the organization, outside the organization, like you and Brownie, Chelsea.
Well, me, not Brownie,
John,
but me.
Okay. You guys are going to have to start working that out. Maybe you see a counselor or something. But Tommy Holy, what people don't know is that when Todd McClellan and Jay Woodcroft and Larry Robinson, Trent Yawney were on the coaching staff, Matt Shaw, Tommy did a lot of work for Jay on statistical analysis of players, shootouts. Tommy was huge. He could tell you what a guy was going to do before a shootout.
Yeah, because he dug deep into the stats.
Yep. He started doing a lot of work for Todd and Jay and that coaching staff. And that really goes back to what you said. He wanted to get more into the hockey operations part of it. Jim Nill, general manager in Dallas, recently talked about Tommy, saying, Tommy would always bring us stuff. Tommy was deep into statistical stuff. He would give us help when we asked him. So this is a guy who, as you said, he's a prince of a human being, one of the best of all time. And please don't let him see this, because it's going to be weird when we see him next. Not only can he quote Anchorman and the other guys, better than the actual actors could do it. Tommy he's smart.
Yeah.
He's smart and he's excited and he's motivated. Give me somebody who's motivated to do their job. Don't give us you and me, the downtrodden, been doing this forever, and I'm just going to show up kind of guys. Give me a guy like Tommy Holy who is going to be excited and inspired.
And you know what? I have to say, two people that left the organization, you and him, and I was not happy on either one of those days. I'm like, this is a loss. And I think I texted you this with the day I found out. I'm like, I can't believe that here I am in 2022. You're back. Tom's back. Tom and I spent a lot of time together between the benches when I was doing the in-game interviews, because he and I would talk about who should we go after here, and the one thing I'll always remember was Tomas Hertl's 4-goal game, and English was still not Tomas's strong suit yet, and so our producer Sean goes, "You're going to interview Hertl, right?" And I'm thinking, we have to, but he's not going to want to do this. So I tell Tom. Tom's looking at me. He's like, "We got to do this." So he goes over to Tomas, and I'll never forget. Tom said a few words, and Tomas's eyes go. He goes, and I was like, "We have to." Tom convinced Hertl to do the interview. So he's beloved.
Was there any more fun time before a game than standing on the bench waiting to do your interview,
throwing pucks?
When Tommy Holy was beside you throwing pucks.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could share some of the, and I say
no, you can't.
I can't share them, and not because they're like vulgar or inappropriate. No, they're just like so cheesy and so just genuinely hilarious. And also we should throw this in there. The person who always escorted Jumbo into the rink, right? Tom Holy would literally, Jumbo was first. Tom would go wait in the players' parking lot, and he would walk in to the dressing room with Joe. Yeah. So what does that tell you about, his what people think of him?
I think he's going to be, very valuable to the hockey operations department.
I mean, Mike Greer understands it. He's been here, right? But now you have somebody by his side who also very much understands it. I think they're in good hands. The Sharks are without Brent Burns for the first time in a long time, and I think the biggest absence we could look to, numerically, is like 30 minutes a night, time on ice.
Right.
So is it that? Is it also a bit of leadership? Is it also a bit of identity? It's like what do the Sharks instantly lose about not having Brent Burns? I mean, we know the trade happened, but again, it's one of those things that just hasn't sunk in yet. We were accustomed to it for basically a decade.
Yeah, I think it's both those things you talked about. It's leadership, and it's 30 minutes a night. It's the value of him as a hockey player and the value of him as a person and a leader. Now, I know that some people, when you watch Brent Burns play, you'd be like, "What are you doing? Why would you make that play?" Brent was one of those
stretch pass after stretch pass, but they worked a lot of times too.
I don't think anybody passed the puck harder than Brent Burns.
No,
too. That's the other thing.
No,
but I was looking at there was an analytics thing that came out online about if you paired Brent Burns with Jacob Slavin in Carolina, if they can be a pair, as far as their ability to deny the rush, as far as their ability to strip pucks, as far as their ability to end plays in the offensive zone and the defensive zone, they're like 1, 2, or 3 in the league in the last number of years.
Wow.
So, Brent's ability, and how many times did we talk about it? That ability to snake out that stick like a lizard's tongue and get the puck off of guy. They're going to miss Brent in a lot of areas, but he was the guy that had the most value for the team to be able to make a trade and then save the money, as we talked about.
Right.
So what do you hope happens? Well, you think with the signing yesterday of Mario, was there 2 days ago?
A couple days ago,
a couple days, Mario Ferraro, that will take place of the leadership, upbeat personality part. I go back to Ryan Stan, the director of travel for the San Jose Sharks. Last year, and I'm new back to the team. I don't know any of these guys, and we're sitting on the plane, and I'm hearing Mario Ferraro like this at Ryan Stan, just going on and on and on and on. And I look over at Stenner. Stenner's got that
even keel, I know.
Even keel, and he's dry humor and everything else. And Stenner goes, "He's the new Jumbo." And I went, "Wow."
For the boys. On the back of the flight.
Stenner.
Boy, that's quite the comp. He's the new Jumbo. Stenner said that. That is that's a whaling endorsement right there. That says
great?
A lot. Yeah.
It was so good. And the delivery, of course, from Stenner was perfect. So you've got that taken care of there. Mario gets a chance to assume a leadership role.
Yeah.
The other part of it is Erik Carlson and Mark Everblasik.
Right.
So let's talk about Erik Carlson and Mark Everblasik. To me, when you look at both those guys, they should be coming back with a chip on their shoulder. Mm-hmm. They should be coming back in a completely different physical fitness state. I'm not saying they were out of shape before. I'm saying that over the last years, and as you get older in your life, you've got to change your training. Last year, Daryl Sutter was in game 2 against Dallas in the playoffs. I did the game on TV. And so you get to see Big D. And I asked him, I said, when did your guys this year get it about the way the game has to be played now? And he went, it wasn't this year. It was last year when we were going home for the summer. I told him, the old days are over. This is a fast league now. You got to get lighter. And if you look at the way the game is played now, and you look at the playoffs, the game is all about being quick. Doesn't mean the physical aspect's gone, but it's not nearly as imperative as it is being first to pucks, being first to get off the boards, being first into the zone, being first in every race.
Yeah.
That's where the game is.
You don't necessarily mean even like blue line to blue line. You're talking about like small bursts and
It's all about
small battles.
Quick, not fast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
And so Erik Carlson's had a lot of injuries lately. Now, you can't do anything about a guy stepping on the back of your leg,
right?
But you can do something to improve your fitness level or change your conditioning program so that you don't get the sore groins, you don't get the pulled muscles, you don't get this, that, or the other thing. Mark Everblasik's had at least 2 down years. Let's be honest. He's had 2 down years where Mark Everblasik used to be Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependable, never making a mistake, just being there solid for the Sharks.
Right.
He hasn't been that. Got better near the end of the year last year, but still wasn't the same Mark Everblasik. I think it's because he's too slow. Now, you can improve that. You can improve that through the right kind of training, plyometrics, explosive training, doing the right kind of weightlifting, being, concentrating more on your explosive muscles, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, if Erik Carlson and Mark Everblasik took a hard look at themselves and went, hey, a lot's going to depend on us this year. So in order for that to happen, and they should have done it at day 3 after the end of the season last year for the Sharks. Said, okay, what do I have to do to be better than I was last year? If you're going to be a true professional, you've got to be in a situation where it hasn't worked the last couple of years. So what do I do? How do I change? How do I continue to push to be better, or be as good as I once was? And I'm hoping, and I'm betting that they did change their training because they're not dumb. They saw how fast the game is. They're like, wow, we got to improve our speed.
They also know that just on minutes alone, if 30 on one D-man is out the door on every given night, like you're going to play 4 more minutes every game this year. I mean, right? Don't they have to all?
Pretty much.
Everybody's got to pick up a little bit of a slack there.
Yeah, absolutely. So also when you look at it, so you're for my career, you're looking at Markus Nudavara, and who good skater, moves the puck pretty well, is never going to knock your socks off points wise, but he's solid and dependable. Matty Benning, I saw in Edmonton for a few years. Mm-hmm. You know what he reminds me of? Scott Hannon.
Wow.
That's high praise from me, but I love Matty Benning because he gives you everything he's got. Tough as nails, will block shots.
Reliable though, was that when you said that? I was like, I get that. I get that about Hanner. Yeah.
And Matty Benning, you'll love Matty Benning. He is a gamer who will give you everything he's got. So there's some reasons to be positive.
Sure.
But there's also some reasons for trepidation, looking at the veterans coming back. And as you said, can they handle more minutes? If they've done the right kind of preparation coming into camp, they'll be able to handle more minutes.
I definitely want to go back to the top 6 conversation you brought up earlier. But first, while we're talking defensemen, and you just brought up Mario Ferraro, right? Signing the 4-year contract, and now with the absence of his partner for a couple years and been playing a lot of shifts and minutes with Brent Burns. So now he's in a new spot, right? First big pro contract, out of the comfort zone just a little bit. I mean, you're playing with Burns. Yeah, I guess you get comfortable with that after a while. But where does Mario's game evolve? It does seem like he's got the defensive side down, and I know offense has been talked about. Isn't that the easier one of the two? Like, if you were an offensive defenseman, isn't it easier to become more offensive than to become more defensive?
Defense, Kevin Constantine had a saying that defense is all attitude and hard work. Mm-hmm. I think it's easier to prevent than create. So I think when you're Mario Ferraro, you'll want to push for that. Mm-hmm. The one piece of advice I'd give Mario: don't try to prove you're worth your contract.
That happens too often in pro sports.
Yeah. Guys get this big contract and they think they've got to go out because they're proud athletes. They're alpha males.
But his wasn't like through the roof, crazy money. It's nice, handsome reward. And honestly, guys of his age and experience, they're usually year to year or 2 years, but like 4 years at his time, that's a message from the Sharks that like, we like you. And you're obviously one of the leaders. You wear an A. We're going to take care of you here. But I know what you're saying though. Don't try. They're rewarding you. Don't try and overperform what they're rewarding you. Yeah.
Just, everybody's just play your own game. Well, who else's game you're going to damn well play. But this good one. Yeah, thank you. That's one of these days. I'll sit down here and we'll go through stupid sports sayings. Yeah. And as you know, I'm a little literal and I've got my list, but that leaving your feet will be on there.
This is a critical moment in the live stream right here, but go ahead.
I used that the other day about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the good critical moment team. For Mario Ferraro, the thing about Mario is I trust Mario to work towards his goal. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to make this team. He's a me first, or he's a we first instead of a me first guy. I don't worry about Mario. I think his game will evolve as he gets older, as he calms down a bit, but has that edge. He makes everybody else better. He believes that it's part of his job. The offensive side, you really can't push that. With more minutes, with more critical moment points of the game where he's able to play. Thank you very much for getting that in there. Power plays, etc.
I was just going to say, get him on the power play. Yeah,
he will with that shot. Yeah, he'll get some points. He'll create some collateral damage in front. He'll get some deflections and tips, and he'll get some points. So he's the one guy I look at and I'm not worried because just the type of individual we've come to know just this last year for me.
Top six. Yeah, and probably forward depth, and we've already discussed some free agent signings and how Mike Greer's already gone out and gathered some known commodities. But that, if you look back to last year, that's probably the biggest area of weakness for the Sharks is that they just up front couldn't score, couldn't finish, and a large part of it is the top six. But honestly, forward depth in the third and fourth lines, like they didn't have reliable every night players. They were giving opportunities, and some were taken. And I'm just looking at Bordeleau for just a bit of time. Like I'm very excited about that, but I'm still questioning where they're at in terms of really locking down like a top six that is a true top six.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at daily face-off right now. So you look at what they've got, and this is a ballpark. This is a guess. Alexander Barabanov, Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier. Not worried about Meier, not worried about Hertl. Right. Barabanov, what drives me crazy about Alexander, he gives the puck away too much. Yeah. He's got to learn to protect the puck, drive the puck in deep, and get to work to it to get it to 48 and 28.
But he could like there are spurts enough in him where you're like, I could see this. Yeah. Hopefully this is the year where you just see more of the good stuff, less of what bothers you.
I want to see him nose over the puck. Yeah. I want to see him put the puck in deep, and I don't want to see any 85-foot pass attempts across the blue line. Okay, I don't. Simple as that. Now, where's your second line? Who is your second line? Well, we know Logan's there. Yeah. Has Noah Gregor made enough of a jump in his game? Has he evolved enough in his game where he can be a second line guy? Right. Or Kevin Labanc, can he regain the form that he was? Was he a 20-goal scorer back back when.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
Can he be the second line guy?
Right.
On the right side, on the left side, I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
Can Cunnin play there? Well, I think Cunnin's a centerman. Naturally, he could play that third line. And Sturm coming over from Colorado, he's a solid two-way guy. He's a guy that's, though, better at center. He's a guy, though, that will give you everything he's got. The one thing when I look at the top six lines or the top six guys that they played a lot of minutes with a lot of defensive zone starts.
Yep. They had to.
They had to,
yeah.
Right? Now, if you, again, looking at lines, if you've got Steven Lorentz and Nico Sturm and Matthew Nieto, that's not a bad fourth line that can play in your
right.
zone. You can trust those guys. Oscar Lindblom, we'll see. I think he's a solid two-way guy. There was thought that he could be a bigger scorer when he came in the league.
Right.
He was so inspirational beating cancer, but
yeah.
you didn't expect him to come back the next year and all of a sudden light the league on fire.
Absolutely.
Again,
no, that was a hell of a story, honestly.
Yeah. So maybe another year of health and good practices and having more time on the ice, maybe he can make that jump up. But there's, the word I'm using all the time is maybe. And that's the issue. Can you get from, I'll just say all 12 guys, can you get from the 12 guys
right.
solid, dependable, consistent play that even if you're not scoring, you're not giving up 4, 5, you're keeping the game in neutral until you can shift to get it into drive for your team. Power play goal here and a Timo Meier 5-goal performance there. Who knows?
I think the Sharks shored up a lot of their defensive problems from prior seasons last year. But yeah, again, that led to the frustration of if you're scoring 1 and maybe 2 on a lot of nights, like 2 or fewer, generally not going to win you the game.
No.
And that's where they were.
You need that third one. Without a doubt in the NHL, you need that third one. And that's also where I'm really interested in David Quinn and his coaching staff.
Yeah.
About how they approach the season. How are they playing? Now the NHL's a monkey see, monkey do.
Copycat
right?
league.
Copycat league.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to see the Colorado Avalanche do it, well, we're going to do it.
Right.
And why not? Because they just won the Stanley Cup.
Right.
So you have to continue to try to emulate what the top teams are doing. You might not be able to do it as far as the talent level goes, but as far as how David Quinn implements the system and the scheme, I'll be very interested to see if it fits the current group of Sharks players.
2 more.
That's his biggest challenge.
Yeah, no, I agree. 2 more things, and then I don't want to let you go, but I haven't seen you in months, so I'm just enjoying this.
It's nice to see you again.
There's a lot of young players to be decided on, and you were just mentioning the roster. I know you were looking at the roster players, not all of the non-roster players, but there's an Eklund, there's a Weisblatt, there's a Coe, there's obviously Bordelot. There's a lot of young players that Mike Grier, David Quinn are going to have to get to know really quickly and make decisions on. How much of an influence or an impact do you think that next wave could actually make this year or be present this year? Like we've talked about the known commodities, but how many young influential players might get that crack and actually do something with it?
Well, Bordelot knocked us back last year when he came in and played like he did.
Yeah.
William Eklund did not have the season that the Sharks had hoped. They wanted him to go to Europe and dominate.
Right.
Wasn't able to do that.
Right.
Ozzie Weisblatt had a good year in junior here in Saskatchewan. And there's a lot of good things about him. And he's was coached really well by Mark Habscheid, who now went over to Europe. Glenn Sather, when he was with the Oilers, general manager and coach of the Oilers, he used to bring in guys after they'd win the Stanley Cup to light the fire from below. Mm-hmm. And you need that push. There shouldn't be, with the exception of a few guys on the Sharks, anybody comfortable being a so-called roster player right now.
Right.
Those young guys should be coming in thinking, I can make this team. I can definitely make this team. And they should be coming in firing as much as they can, making sure that they've got the furnace on high. So, for me, Bordelot was the one that I was really surprised at as far as his skill level, his ability as a small guy to play in tight spaces against big guys, and his confidence.
Yeah. William
Eklund didn't have that confidence when he went up against the older guys, right? Ozzie's played in the WHL, and that's a man's league right there. I don't care how old the kids are.
Yeah.
So I think there's about 3 or 4 that could put a push on that we could be talking about in late September.
They'll stick.
That'll stick. That might be the opportunity for them there. But they should be coming in, Brody. They should be coming in thinking, I can make this team. And if you're not, you shouldn't be on this team.
And isn't that the weirdest thing about a management change? And that goes for anybody in any job. We've had it here at our network over the years. Yeah. A couple bosses are new, and all of a sudden everybody, down below, me in the worker category, we all look up and say, all right, it's time to win somebody else new over. And look, and you've got some good teammates, you've got some things maybe that could change or get better, but everybody's out in that first impression mode, and I do think that's why this is going to be a super interesting camp. Those first 2 games in Europe,
games in Europe.
That's going to be all of this is going to be not weird, but it's going to be so different than the Sharks we've seen of any recent times, because it was a lot of familiar faces, and even if they only changed, they went from Todd to Pete or Pete to Bob or whoever, a coaching change, but now literally top to bottom on the inside, there are different people making decisions. And so if you're a Logan or a Timo or a Tomash, you have different bosses now. And I think a lot of people watching this who aren't pro athletes, they can relate to that. This is what that is.
The comfortability factor for those guys is where, as a coach, I need to get them out of that.
You need a little bit uncomfortable. They can earn that, but almost I hear you.
Listen, as a coach, I'm on your side. As a coach, I'm believing you. But as a coach, and it's like parenting, there are going to be some tough conversations between us.
Right.
And you may walk away unhappy with the conversation. You may walk away unhappy about my opinion. But if you know that the conversation is coming from me to you, that it's honest, and I believe in you, and I'm telling you this because it's a partnership between us to make you better, those uncomfortable conversations can lead to a better player.
100%. Okay, last thing here. Patrick Marleau is the first Shark to ever have his number retired. And I don't think that comes as a surprise when you're Mr. Shark. Let's be honest. It was 12 or 19, and 12 was a Shark, the first Shark. Yeah. So whatever you want to say about Patty, I want to hear that. And I also want to know, Joe's obviously next?
Yeah.
And then is there anybody else we should do?
Doug's number 24.
Yeah.
I'm pretty biased about that, but he would be
first captain, and then a lot more after that.
If I had my way, that first team, I would put 10 of those jerseys up there. Honestly, I would.
Just for surviving.
Just for surviving, and you look at that first team, and you look at Doug, general manager, Dean Evison, coaching in the league, Mike Sullivan, Stanley Cup champion, coaching in the league. Rob Zettler, coaching in the league. Yeah, there's a lot of good guys that came through that, and it shows you what kind of people they were. But with Patty Marleau, I don't even know what to say about Patty. I mean, he's from Anna Royne, Saskatchewan, so automatically he's a good person. When Patty first came in the league, it wasn't easy for him. Yeah, as a young guy that he was, but he had Daryl Sutter as a head coach. Daryl Sutter now is very different from Daryl Sutter then, obviously. It was a different type of coaching. Daryl's hard on the young guys. Yeah. And there were times where Patty had to talk to Kelly Rudy or Mike Vernon, who he lived with the Rudy family. Right. And Vincent Damphus and Tony Granato and all those terrific guys that he was around, those veterans that made him help shape who he is. And what the great story is about Patty, about all those older guys, especially the Rudy family who took him in. And, there's stories that Kelly will tell where Patty was, helping Kelly and Donna put together the dollhouse for the kids for Christmas. That's the type of guy Patty was. But then Patty gets to Toronto and pays it forward to
Marner,
Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Mm-hmm. The other day online, there's Joe Thornton with Mitch Marner on a dock somewhere with both of them sporting really good tans, and Joe with the smallest bucket hat I've ever seen.
I saw that too. I know what you're saying.
Isn't that funny? But with Patty Marleau, I was privileged to watch a boy grow into a man, grow into a husband and a father and a star. It was a privilege. It was an honor, but he never acted like that. Like he was just Patty.
Right.
But there were times, Patty, there were times with Patty, like, come on, give me more.
Right.
And Mike Babcock, former coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Detroit Red Wings, Stanley Cup champ, Olympic champ, triple gold coach, as a matter of fact. One day, he's from Saskatchewan too. One day he said to me, he said, "Hey, I was listening to your broadcast last night and you were too fond of Patty Marleau." And I went, "Yeah, he leaves me wanting." And Mike and I have known each other since we were about 14 years old. Mike looks at me and gave me the same line Daryl Sutter did once, which was, sometimes, Drew, you don't know what the you're talking about. And I looked at him and I went, "Explain it to me then, big fella." And he explained it to me and went back and then start watching Patty a little closer. And of course, Mike was right. You don't become, that successful as a coach without being right a lot. So Patty had a fire that burned quiet,
right,
but still burned hot,
right.
But he was able to, because of his rookie years, being around the veterans he was able to be around, he was able to control the ups and downs. Didn't mean he didn't care.
Right.
He was just in more control.
People didn't see every single part of it. I totally agree.
But overall with Patty, it was an honor to be around him all these years.
I'm so glad that the franchise has cracked the ice on this. I mean, 30 plus years and no name and number up there. And there have been worthy candidates. And I guess Patty, in the last couple decades, you realize, like, okay, he'll be the first, but I'm glad that they're moving on this, because I think it just makes it easier down the road. And it might even open up some doors, to your point about Doug or anybody else. I know a lot of people say 11 could, the other common numbers I hear, 11 and 20 are another one. I think people would throw Urbe's name in there, but again, it's like, what, who, when, it's hard to quantify all this stuff. It's impossible, but I'm just glad that we have one, and pretty soon I'm sure we'll have two, and very likely 3 and 4.
And a couple of golden microphones up there for Randy
100%. And
Danny, and that's and Brent, you.
Oh yeah, right.
So nice.
So, right. I'll probably outlive that place. No, you know what? It's crazy though. On Randy, I seriously thought about that though, and people are always like, "Well, include Rosie." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I get it." But Honor with me, like, and I look at one of the people who was influential in bringing the Sharks to San Jose, like the grassroots group that he was a part of.
He was like,
I know. So like you, and then the team hires a broadcaster, and it's not even him. He has to like, he had to like earn the job. So like it all worked out, right? It all worked out. But no, I
see. He became a U.S. citizen.
I saw that. Well,
after 40 years.
Think about the year he's had. You married him. Not like you got married to him.
I didn't marry him.
You officiated.
I officiated his wedding. Like,
I got to work on my.
Michelle just looked at me like,
"Yeah,
what did you just do? Why have you been so distant lately?"
You officiated his wedding. Yeah. Now the American citizenship. I had a little back and forth with him the day I had no clue. Yeah, it was.
Neither did I.
That cannot be repeated, but it was pretty funny.
I said to him the other day when I talked to him, I said, congratulations, but let me ask you, why do you keep rushing into everything? 40 years. He goes, "Well, I just wanted to make sure. There are a few things I wasn't sure about."
My comment was like, lately, do you really want to come to our country now? Like, of all
absolutely.
the times, like, you should have come here in the 90s,
Yeah.
No,
he did. He just stuck around.
Yeah, that's a good point. However many games he finishes with, and I was at his 1,000th party. That was a long time ago. He's probably got to 2,000 since then.
We were downtown there, weren't
That's
we?
right. Jumbo showed up to his 1,000th game party. That's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, this is a big party.
Games. Yeah.
No, but I think however many games he finishes with, like, or how many seasons, put that on the banner. So. That's a good place to end it, and I'm glad that you're back, and I'm glad we'll see you a bunch this year. And they haven't told me about who's hosting pregame live. They said that you did such a phenomenal.
Well, I did. I obviously carried it, and like I said, I don't know why you make it look so tough. I guess that's that you're just trying to keep the job around. But yeah, I'm obviously a man of many talents, none that you can really write home about, but I do have some.
I look forward to it. No, seriously, it's I know it's the 8th of August when we do this right now, but October will be here before you know it, and I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And hopefully we'll see you at the tank a bunch this year. So
it's good seeing you, buddy.
I will turn this stream off. You and I can chat in just a bit, but thanks again, Drew. Really appreciate it.
You bet.